Hola, ballers and a bro fist to you all. It's Friday afternoon here in the UK as the water pours from the sky to celebrate what has been a hell of a week with the alpha launching. Had a wonderful interview with Paul Kubitz. We did find out some bits and bobs about the prey system and, of course, the harder raiding that's going to be coming in a second part of the raiding situation, which should be an interesting time for the launch of Midnight. And of course, the alpha is underway. Several videos are out looking at various things, devourers and things. And I've been playing Final Fantasy Tactics, which is excruciatingly hard if you've never played it before and starting tactician mode. But we're starting to do well, kind of. We're starting to do well. We're starting to progress. We're starting to learn. We're starting to adapt. We're starting to overcome. We only wiped, I don't know, like 5 times today, which is better than what we've done in previous days. Great success. Great success. Oh, yeah, I definitely farmed constantly. You guys saw I farmed constantly for it. But it's not why you're here right now. Over the world, you send us your stories, and we love you for it to drama@preachgaming.com. We really appreciate you sending these in. Of all different kinds of tales. And Arbex has put something here. And considering that the Midnight launch is coming, early 2026, there's a big controversy with this stuff. It happens in a few games these days. And the title caught my eye. I'm wondering where this goes. Because it did happen. But it's called Early Access Killed My Guild. Now, is this going to be a tale of the people who just thought the system was BS and therefore they all left at the idea of early access? Or did they get annoyed? Did they try the game and didn't like it? So we're going to have 2 stars of this. It's going to be Persephone. 3. And we've got Hands. And we've got Aura. No guild name required for the Dead Guild. If you'd like to type out a lovely guild name that perhaps we could use sometime throughout the story. It's not mentioned that we need one, but maybe it'll pop up. Feel free to put it in. 6 feet under, the tacticians. Yes. Yes. Hey, we're getting better. I could tell. All right, let's have some fun. Holla, Preacher Man! And a bro fist to you and the whole team. And of course, to the wonderful audience that's going on here. I want to tell you a tale that just happened right now. And I figured you guys would get a great laugh out of it like I did and most of the guild has. So, I mean, this can't be for Midnight then, right? You see, Mike, I've been in a mythic raiding guild called the Tacticians since Legion. And while I have stepped away a few times like we all do, I skipped Shadowlands and some IRL things going on. This guild, the Tacticians, has survived in my absence. Until our guild master, Persephone, threw a tantrum over a fact that a good portion of the guild had pre-ordered the new expansion and had early access. What? I mean, most steady guilds are pre-buying the expansions, right? I'm trying to process why. It's not unusual for a guild that is, steady and got a team together to probably see that they're going to buy the game. I don't know. Mike, I'm afraid I have a confession to make to you in the audience. One that is more guilty than a ninja looter. I am more guilty than someone who intentionally wipes a raid in hardcore WoW Classic. I was Frog Farmer. Yes. In Mists of Pandaria Remix, I was heavily farming the frogs. Hey, you know what? It was fun. It was fun as hell. What sin did he commit? He was a froggy boy. A froggy boy. Never forget the hatred that Blizzard had for the froggy boys. I only did it for a couple of hours and I was labeled a froggy boy. I was tarred with that brush, painted in the oil. So one night, after a good long session of frogging out, I was hanging out in Discord with Persephone. Oh, did you get the names mixed up? It says, I was hanging out in Discord with my girlfriend Persephone, GM Hans, and some of the boys. We were talking about what classes we were going to main in the next expansion so that people could figure out what the guild was going to look like. His girlfriend is Aura. I'm very confused. I'm sure it'll make sense as we go forward. I'm very confused. It says here, the GM, Hans, and my girlfriend, Persephone, along with some of our boys. That's what it says. We were talking about what classes we would main in the next expansion. And that was when Persephone had decided that he would announce we would make our way. So Persephone is the GM. We were going to change the guild. Yes, this is great. I love this kind of decision making. I love this. This is great. It's one of those decisions that definitely is going to work. You know why? Because Persephone has decided we're going to be a hardcore guild now. And so it shall be. And so it shall be. We're going to be a hardcore guild now. I have decided. I have sat here, I have sat at my keyboard, and I proclaim that we're now a hardcore guild. And thus it shall be. We're going to move our way from a simple cutting-edge guild to a full-blown hardcore guild that is going for top 100. Well, okay then. To give you, I'm not going to go into the full description of their ability, Mike, but I will say this. If him and his friends weren't there, it is possible we would have gotten World 100. Aura and Hans both told him immediately that they were too shit for that. Nope. And it was also that it would require way more time dedication than what the guild possibly did. Oh, Aura is the girlfriend. Okay, Aura is the girlfriend. Persephone, from our throne of justice, responded to this comment in the way a leader should, to invoke motivation, inspire, drive forward, you know, hope for the team. If you can't cut it, then you'll be kicked. Wow. Wow. That's leadership. That's leadership. Well, you've got no choice now, right? Well, there you go. You got to do it. I mean, that's the way it is. Aura looked over at me IRL and said, I'm going to get a drink. Because this is not the first time that he has suddenly decided that he is amazing, while also being our worst DPS, which he claims is because of raid leadership. Yes, yes, the old I'm the raid leader excuse. Yes, I am leading the raid, therefore I do less damage. I am doing more than you peasants. I am doing 85,000 things simultaneously, and therefore I am not contributing to the kill. The conversation ended soon after, but myself, Hans, and a couple of other officers were told to be around the next day, an hour before raid, for a very important meeting. Now, the problem is, the next day was payday. And I had received a big, chunky commission that month. And I knew that my girlfriend wanted a couple of Switch games, and so I bought them for her. And I also went and got my kids some new Paw Patrol toys. Oh my fucking god, Paw Patrol. Dude, why? Why bring that shit up? Why bring that shit up? Fucking Paw Patrol. I hate Paw Patrol. That kid is a freak. He sends those animals into, like, the most dire of situations. Like, I swear to God, there is an IRL remake of Paw Patrol where those dogs die every day and he just keeps replacing them and he's a fucking maniac in the town. Telling you, freak. Absolute fucking freak, that kid. I then wanted to treat myself after I treated my family, so I decided, full send. I'm going to buy myself the collector's edition of the new expansion. So I assume this is the War Within when Mod Remix was out, right? Mod Remix was pre-War Within? It was during Dragonflight, wasn't it? I think. I'm trying to remember. That night, we of course had the important guild meeting. Tension. Mystery. What could it all be about, I wonder? Persephone joined the call. And then muted the rest of us. And began the speech. This guild is too casual. This guild isn't taking its time in game seriously enough. It is time to buckle down. The guild must show dedication, willingness to give more time to becoming the best gamers we can be. We're going to introduce some sweeping changes so we can become more organized like Team Liquid. We shall start with the formation of a loot council. Before this, we would just roll on loot we actually need and trust the other people were not cunts and not be greedy. This had worked for us for literally years. We were now going to build a website. Yes, a website that will track attendance points. It will be required in the new expansion that each player should have 3 alts. And our schedule will alter from our current 2-night-a-week raiding to 4. This is the minimum that should be given to our progress. Okay, which one of those is the I'm out? The correct answer before you type it is like pretty much all of it. Pretty much all of it. But absolutely definitely the 3 alts and just doubling the amount of raiding that you want from your raiders that week. On average. Yeah, the 3 alts, I'm definitely out at that point. The loot councils, whatever. I've worked with loot councils many times. If there's a good one, you're fine. And it's very, very obvious to know when there isn't one. And then you just like, this is your shit. But 3 alts and doubling the amount of raid nights per week. Doubling. Just straight doubling it. No. Absolutely not. Persephone then points out that he has consulted with his IRL friends and they are in agreement with his choice. The only objections to this newfound target and goal for the guild were from outsiders, as we were described, which included myself and basically the other officers that weren't IRL friends. Now, as the meeting was coming to a close and the guildies started getting into Discord for the raid night, Persephone then posted the announcement in Discord. Mike, it was 83 lines long in the Discord when full screened. We counted. Within the document, it was proclaimed that we were going hardcore. It was restated that if you didn't like the new direction of the tacticians, then you should leave immediately so we could start replacing you now. Oh, that's great. That's really cool. Yeah, just completely kill the guild. That's awesome. Now, of course, we wanted to leave. However, you know, I'm totally down for this. However, we knew what was going to happen would be completely fucked, and we wanted to see it happen. I am with you 100%. It's the end of the expansion anyway. You're playing Remix. Like, fuck it, man. I want to see how this plays out. I am totally down for this, and I encourage you all to do it. Like, fuck it. Let's see how this goes. All right, baby. Let the bomb go off. I am totally down. Let's fast forward. I still don't understand how early access plays into this. Let's find out. Fast forward a bit, and we get to when my collector's edition has arrived at my house. I was stoked, of course, because I am a Giga nerd who went to BlizzCon and creamed my pants when Metzant read off the teleprompter that there were going to be 3 expansions. I was there too. Did you say hi? Probably not. Maybe you did. I don't know. I posted pictures to Discord along with a few others who also received their games, and almost immediately a pinned announcement was made in the Discord. The pinned announcement from Persephone said that while we should be working towards our highest ranks possible, that we should not be shaming other members of the guild who weren't cheating at the game by buying early access. Now that's a take. That's a fucking take. That's a take. Holy shit. You know what? Persephone's a poor. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. Persephone, Shalana clocked it. Persephone's a poor and feels like they're being shamed because they haven't got it. That's cheating. A lot of people, to be fair, in World of Warcraft, some people think flasking is cheating. I'm not joking. Using potions is cheating. Yeah. I've heard it all. I've heard everything described as cheating at some point. I've heard everything as described as cheating. Yeah, if you're like gemming your gear while leveling and out DPSing someone, it's because you're cheating. If you're keeping enchants on your gear, that's cheating. Food buffs are cheating. Using food buffs that like don't disappear after dying is cheating. All this kind of shit. You're not doing it as the developers intended. You know, the ones who made those buffs. Those guys. I am curious as to what the justification for this one is, though. Hans responded by posting a music video from South Park titled Safe Space and was immediately kicked from the guild. I don't know what that is, but yeah, obviously not a friendly thing to post. All in all, about 50% of the guild had, of course, bought the expansion early and had early access by 2 weeks before launch. A day later, while I was still at BlizzCon, I receive a DM from Persephone with a link to a spreadsheet on Discord. Now, this wasn't that surprising. Persephone fucking loved spreadsheets. Everything needed to go on a spreadsheet. Loot, attendance, we never did build the website, planned alts, farming schedules. Yes, he made a sheet for the members of the guild who liked to farm fish and food and added that to the spreadsheet. But this time, it was not for something that was in-game. This time it was a list of the guild roster with highlights titled Needs Early Access. Oh no. Uh-oh. Oh, this is Nightmare World. This is actually nightmarish. Are they going to suggest that other people buy the rest of the guild early access? Money, please. Money, please. I responded in the usual manner that a gamer would. 3 question marks. What followed was a paragraph explaining the situation. Persephone told me that since I had extra gold and money, that I should be one of the few people to help others in the guild buy the higher editions of the game to help in the cause of the guild to become hardcore in the war within. Wow. You've got to admire the balls. You've got to admire the balls to be just that ridiculous. It takes some level of either complete stupidity or desperation to actually type that out to someone else. I responded 3 question marks. What? I like that there's a spreadsheet, 3 question marks. Paragraph of text, just 3 question marks. There's nothing more infuriating than the 3 question marks. Oh my God. There's nothing more infuriating than just the 3 question marks. Because you're like, you just know they're like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? I found out later he had sent this to every single member of the guild who had posted their visual of the pre-order of the collector's edition. My final response was just no. And the conversation did not continue. As you can imagine, Persephone over the next few days, after I got back home, was not happy with what he had titled the guild crowdfunding effort. From what I could tell from the spreadsheet, barring just a few people in the guild, every single one of the IRL friends and Persephone were people who needed the game upgrades. Oh, this is going to make me sick, Bex. This is awful. I can't believe this happened to you. This is insane. Approximately 3 days later, the guild message of the day changed to "We are a guild that does not leave each other behind. If you leave for the new content before the actual launch day, you are betraying the guild." Oh, God. I mean, I'm absolutely not leaving, though. I'm not leaving. This is incredible. This is incredible. I am telling everybody this is happening. I'm screenshotting it. I'm like, bro, you won't believe what's happened now. This is wild. This is fucking wild. A day later, Hans returned to the guild, with Persephone saying in all caps that Hans had proven himself to be willing to help the guild succeed. When I asked Hans, he said, "I told Persephone that I might be able to buy them a collector's edition of the game. I'm obviously not going to do it, lol." In order to keep the gag going, Hans did buy a collector's edition of the game to send a screenshot of the confirmation of the order to Persephone. What he didn't include is that he'd set the delivery address to his own house. Bawling. Just bawling out. Just bawling out. Just absolutely bawling out. This story brings us now to our final raid night before we got to head into the War Within, and there was a lot of excitement, as you can imagine, that the expansion was coming from nearly everybody. The saltiness from Persephone and his buddies are making little snipes at other players all night about, "Oh, I bet you can't wait to get out of this place when the game launches for us. Oh, I mean, some of us. Or, guys, I wonder if this boss will give us early access to his loot." What a loser. What a salty bitch. What a salty fucking bitch. Oh my God. Well, of course it was a little bit annoying. It wasn't something that none of us expected, as Aura bought a bottle of wine to prepare for this raid. However, it did blow up, as you can imagine. Once early access actually arrived, the day I was prepped. We sent our kids to their grandmas for vacation. I booked actual vacation from work. Aura treated us to a 1-gallon cooler of G Fuel and apple juice. Your house during this period. Your house. I got a tomahawk steak on the grill so we would be ready for dinner break. Discord was alive. And boom, the quest popped and the race began. About 30 minutes into the expansion, our Discord died. So I obviously alt-tab to figure it out. Only to find that Persephone had removed everyone that was playing early access from the guild Discord. I then saw something so beautiful, so magnificent, and so glorious that it surpassed the birth of my children. Persephone having a tantrum in guild chat, crying about how They couldn't believe that we had gone through with it, that we had actually done it, that we had abandoned our fellow guildmates, and how we should be so ashamed of our behavior to be rubbing it in the faces of the rest of the guild, living life like kings while they were stuck in the past. I responded, 3 question marks. I love it. It's gotta be so annoying. Just like question mark, question mark, question mark. Approximately 20 seconds later, I linked our private Discord, and we just went there. And we were all back in chat within a few moments, laughing about the betrayal and us needing diapers. By a twist in our story, my friends, a twist. By the time dinner rolled around, I saw that a certain Persephone was in Donegal. To which I typed in guild chat, "How are you in Donegal? Question mark, question mark, question mark." After a few moments, I got the response. Of course I got early access. How can the guild master not do what is needed for the guild to get top rank in the world? Before I could deliver the question mark cannonball, another guildie already asked, "Did you contribute to the guild crowdfunding effort that you put together?" The response: "I am the guild leader. I set the example. But if you can't follow through, then you need to shit or get off the pot." I feel like that is an opening for the question mark cannonball to go fire. I don't even know, guys. Essentially, we understood this to mean, I got mine, y'all can get fucked. Which was fine, if not for the fact that he had spent all this time claiming early access was cheating. Aura just said enough, and since she was still in the guild, had copied the Discord invite and posted a link to $5 game keys for early access, which was actually a link to Salmon's Preston protective helmets before she left the... What is that? Salmon's Preston protective helmets? What is that? Them stupid helmets that rugby players wear. See, it's one of the things that some disabled kids wear so they don't hurt themselves. They can't control their heads. Oh, God. Here, dudes. Cheap keys. Cheap keys for your IRL friends. I left the guild. I left the guild. I went to the more appropriate route and just sent a link to guides on how to make more gold, which was actually a link to meatspin.com. By the end of the night, every single one of us who had early access left the guild and joined into my bank guild to keep the team together. Minus a healer and a few DPS after we got a hold of all the players in Persephone's guild except for him and his buddies, who then spent a few tokens worth of gold to get them the upgrades the next day. I had to block Persephone on Discord because he was not impressed by meatspin.com and the fact I had poached his players. Mike, I am sad, or maybe happy to tell you that today the ex-tacticians are not World 100. We are right where we want to be, which is a US top 200, which is more than enough for a guild like ours. We make sure to keep Persephone in our hearts by mailing him bat guano and smoked sausages whenever we see him advertising for recruitment in trade chat to rebuild, as he describes, the mythic core of the guild. We wish Persephone well in their aspirations for the world 100 mark. That is a real mythic guild that is full of I don't give a shit at all. I don't give a shit. He's still at it? Of course, man. What, are you going to give up when it was just about to happen? No. No. Cusping, dude. Cusping. Big time cusping. All right. Somebody has a confession for his friends. I don't know whether we'll need gavels. I don't know whether the gavels are required. I was a brat. I was a brat. Love it. Yeah. Oh, I don't think you'll like this. I'm not near the keyboard. I'm going to copy paste this for you. Control C and Control V. The opening of our tale for today. Hi, Mike. Fuck the chat. Yeah, there's no getting around the guilty verdicts around here. Well, fuck you too. Well, fuck you. Yeah, fuck you. Can we not have that emote in the chat that looks like an arse? It's actually a chin. All right. Mikey, I know to tell the chat to get fucked because I am one of them. I am a long, long time drama listener and enjoyer. Thank you for all you do and for entertaining and lightening so many people's days. I'm not a native English speaker, so edit where appropriate. Never a worry. If you are sending a drama story to drama@preachgaming.com, it doesn't matter if you're a native English speaker. Our Bex is a qualified English person. Yes, she has documentation in English literature. She will do whatever needs be to allow somebody as simple as me to be able to read your tale, so don't worry about it. Mikey, I've been playing with the thought of writing you for some time, and since I'm currently between jobs, I'm finding myself with some spare time. It's time to rock and roll. I have visited your beautiful home country of England quite often during my teenage years. I went to a summer school to improve my Anglais throughout middle and high school. And one of the other guys that would always convinced me to finally give WoW a try. So I created myself a human warlock. Ah, you're a moron. Okay. A human warlock. Wait, human female warlock's okay. Not the other one. I created a human warlock in late vanilla, but never capped. But when the Burning Crusade came out, I finally decided to get going. Double down. Be a hero. And go hard. I was 15 years old. That's ripe. 15 years old is serious gaming age, and you know it. Now that friend that had recruited me spoke of his guild in story and tale and song, of raids, defeating ginormous bosses, warriors all and true, and of all the content that we were going to take part in, and I would be welcomed into his guild's bosom in order to tackle these things. So in the Burning Crusade, I re-rolled to a Draenei warrior, wanting to test the new starting zone, but also play what I was playing in D&D at the time. Oh yes. It was a weird-ass class choice, and I was reeled into the alliance by social obligation, which is to be kept in mind going forward. I leveled at a fairly decent pace, but my friend said he could not get me into his guild straight away. They were serious. No fucking about. No jokes. A serious 25-man raiding guild, progressing the Serpent Shrine Cavern. So, I joined a small, chill community of people that welcomed me and boosted me through dungeons to help me get started. I have nothing negative to say about these people. When it comes to the casual social guild, the horror stories that spread throughout the community, I joined one that genuinely was a casual social guild that just wanted to help people level. And I was only with them for a brief time, but they did take me through my first run of Karazhan, which I appreciate endlessly. Once I had traversed to the top of the tower and felt the pure awe and amazement of the scope and magnitude of the place, that was going to be the next 20 years of my life. Yeah. It happened to us all. Happened to us all. Well, this is the rest of my life. All right, cool. That small, generous guild gave me plenty of epics, and I got a whisper from my friend. A spot had opened up in the big leagues to be a tank. I said, of course. How could I not want to do that? He then asked me a question that I didn't really understand what he was asking. Okay, TBC enjoyers. They're progressing Serpent Shrine Cavern. What does he need? That is not fun to get. It's not fun to get at all. Something that you might drop on somebody who doesn't quite know what they're asking for. Oh, the tanks know. Yeah, I had to do it. Oh, lordy. He says, what's your nature resistance? 0. I said. I said, oh, okay. You're going to have to get some nature resistance for a boss called Hydros. So I Googled it and began killing Spore Lords in Zangarmarsh for what seemed like the rest of my life. I was there for endless hours killing these things. I assumed because the raid needed it, it wouldn't be that hard to get. But it was. Shoutouts to my boys running... What were we running for Nature Res? Not Die 'em All. Where were we? The dungeon that's in 2 with the shiny crystals. Moradon! Yes, get down into Moradon. Get down into Moradon and get your stuff done. Oh, good fun. I loved healing that shit. So good. But I got my requisite amount of materials. I got my shit crafted and said, see ya, to the guild that had boosted and geared me and treated me well. I joined my first 25-man raiding guild. Mike, things were good. I worked my way up from the auxiliary ad tank on Hydros. Ad tank? You 3-tanked Hydros? Nups, your thoughts. And if I had suggested, that was during my raid leader guildmaster days, that we 3-tank Hydros. Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely fucking not. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I became the auxiliary ad tank on Hydros to main tank by the end of tier 5. I got the attunement for tier 6 before it was phased out. And we were joining the big leagues. I was so nerdy and ran dungeons and gruel and Kara runs with the better guilds of the server when they needed a tank. I did that too, making friends with the tanks and other players therein to try and get better. Mike, I didn't know it at the time, but I was turbo shit at this game. It's a good day when you realize it, though. It is. Like, if anybody has ever transitioned from thinking you're really good to like, oh my God, I'm actually so fucking bad compared to some of these people. Like, endlessly terrible. It's a really good day. You're like, oh shit, I'm fucking terrible. I want to share with you my confession of how bad I was. I was aware of how to stance into Berserker stance so that I could tank Nightbane. But I now admit to you and any of my guild who might recognize this that I did not have stances keybound. Why? Like, why not? I don't understand how somebody can play a warrior in that period of time and not have stances keybound. You have to swap all the time. Do you just sit in defensive or something? Mike, I had abilities that were keybound 1 through 6. That was it. I didn't use any modifiers. I could never rebind anything other than those. But this minimum effort of having my spells and my bar put me in the top 5% of BC era tanks, I guess. Yeah. Yep. That's actually genuinely not surprising. Big ego stroke for me here, but it was true, to give context to this, is tanks were really terrible and in short supply in TBC. And that's why me and my co-tank Erebus, best tank I ever played with, were actually recruited by the other guilds, the other top guilds, to do their events for them. they just didn't know what to do. It was crazy. It was really weird. But they were still progressing content. They still did fine. They still did absolutely fine. But when I actually played with them, I was like, oh. The biggest thing I had to show someone how to do was how to tank Allah. You know the Firebird? They couldn't figure out how because I was the Allah main tank. They couldn't figure out how I was staying in melee range when Allah knocked you back. And they seemed genuinely surprised. I said, well, stop running in when he's about to explode and then intercept in and go defensive stance. Because he spawns and he knocks you away. So I was like, just charge in after he does that. Like, I don't know why you're not figuring this shit out, dude. Like, it's not that complicated. Like, if he's gonna knock you back, charge in after that. It's fine. But I will say, I was in one of the small German language servers. The main qualification for a tank was being online, having the drops you needed to have, and not being a total douchebag. Unfortunately, I have confessions more to make. I became a douchebag. My guild was, in hindsight, not exactly good. I wasn't the worst player in it, but I also was not good. We did kill Illidan with a couple of weeks to go before Wrath of the Lich King, when all the content was nerfed to smithereens. Oh, that was weird. Anybody remember that at the end of the Burning Crusade, when they just nerfed every single raid boss to like 20% of their health, and you could just kill everything in a bloodlust? It was very strange. Really weird. That's how they finished up TV. You remember? It was completely absurd. They just annihilated every single raid to like 20%. It was bizarre. I remember we killed Jaden on our first pull. It was like, what the fuck? It was so bizarre. They nerfed everything to smithereens. Even with all the nerfs, though, and the fact that we could kill most bosses in 20 seconds, even the Sunwell ones, we never killed Archimonde. I'll let chat guess why. Why? Why did they not kill Archimonde, even with, like, the dramatically reduced health? Cratering. Yeah, the tears. But surely you could lose half your raid and still kill Archimonde at that point, right? The knock-up mechanic and people fucking up their feathers. We could not... we could only get it, given our DPS of the guild, in a fully clean pull. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Right. When Wrath came around, I made a fateful decision. Excuse me. To this point in the game, I had only had one add-on installed. A threat meter. Which is a fair one to have. But after all the talk that I was constantly hearing from all the other players, I decided I was going to install a damage meter. With Wrath of the Lich King launched, my guild reached patchwork in Naxxramas. And I was aghast at what I was seeing. This was the DPS race. Our damage was so fucking bad. Only a handful of our players were achieving the bare minimum damage necessary to kill the boss. Oof, that's really bad. Is this in 10-man as well? Patchwork was really easy in Wrath of the Lich King. Patchwork was, I think for our guild, Patchwork was 25 minutes of discussion on things to do and how to deal with Hateful, and then we pulled it and just killed it, and we were like, oh, right, okay. This boss is a joke. Okay. Yeah, we were, like, really disappointed in Patchwork when we pulled it, and it just was like, huh. There was one Warlock in particular, and I really remember her, not out of a bad way, but because she was one of the only women in the guild, and she flirted with me, and a considerable amount of players in the guild, who was below my warrior on the meters. And Wrath of the Lich King, in full heroic gear, she was doing 500 DPS single target. One night after we had fucking struggled with Sartharian Zero Drakes. What the fuck? How the shit do you struggle with Sartharian Zero Drakes? Holy shit. I mean, what is even the mechanic at that? It's just the flame wave, right? Does it do anything else? How do you fuck all that? I was shocked at what I was reading ahead. I saw Sartharian. I was like, is it just the flame waves? I think that's it. Lag spikes on the fire waves. Okay. One night after we had fuggled with Sartharian Zero Drakes, I had had enough. I spoke my mind in raid. I probably did so like a complete fucking arsehole. For the life of me, I can't remember how I worded it, but it was probably really bad. I remember taking it very seriously. And all of a sudden, the main tank of this guild was now guildless, exiled. I couldn't believe they had had the balls to kick their main tank. I was so in shock that they had actually called me on my bullshit that I took a break from the game to start uni. But when ICC came out, I of course wanted to kill Arthas. I had grown up on Warcraft 3 and the hype was so real. I resubbed and found myself a new guild to raid with. All my former friends in the server's top 3 alliance guilds were still active, but they didn't have a tank slot. So I hunted and searched for another guild and started raiding with them. And things were going well until we got deep into ICC. Ooh, when disagreements about tanking started to happen. When would that happen in ICC Heroic? Disagreements about tanking. No, because Professor the off-tank did the abomination. That was my job in Heroic. I'm thinking it's the healer. Dreamweaver? Dreamwalker? Whatever the fuck that dragon was. Could be Blood Council. Yeah, it could be Blood Council. Could be. I mean, it can't be Syndragosa. Slime kiting? Maybe. I still had a massive ego. I was doing 10-man alt runs with my friends. In hindsight, they were carrying my ass. And so if my guild leader approached me and told me I was taking too much damage and they were actually going to sit me for another tank. How are you taking too much damage? What are you playing? I'm so interested. Are you playing a DK? Can't be playing a warrior. You can't not be shield blocking, right? And they were going to sit me for another tank. I told him he was a dumbass, wrong, and didn't understand tanking. Now, one night, I made an ill-advised joke in Discord. Okay, the joke is here. It's not, like, turbo bad, but, I mean, yeah. I was G-kicked. The joke is here. The joke is here. Yeah, it's by far not like a super bigoted joke or anything like that. It's not in that sphere. It's just really stupid. I'm not saying it, no. I'm not saying it, but he was kicked from the guild. This was the second G-kick I'd had. I was confused. How would a tank in a game that struggles to find good tanks, could I, who was definitely a good tank, have been kicked from a guild twice? This is when I decided to look within. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. It was time to look in the mirror. I distinctly remember that this G-kick actually affected me in real life. I took pause and had a hard look at myself. I was 19 years old now. I was in college. I wasn't doing well in my studies. I was 135 pounds sopping wet with my collarbones poking out of my chest. My diet for the last 12 days had, as I realized, had been Diet Coke and instant ramen. How are you not dead? Is there any nutrients in instant ramen? What's in there? They're just like pot noodles, right? Uni meal. I mean, yeah, but not for 12 days straight. Where's that emergency run to the parents for dinner? Salt. Yeah, salt. and Diet Coke, which is just fizzy water with caffeine in it, essentially. Speak of the devil. Sugar-free Red Bull. I decided it was time to get a fucking grip. All right, we're going to lock in. We're going to lock the fuck in. We're going to get some beef on us. We're going to fucking study down, and we're going to crush. Or are you going to put all your attention into World of Warcraft? Which one will it be? I quit WoW immediately. I got on the mount from ICC 10-man Heroic Lich King and was happy with how that chapter was coming to an end. I joined the University Taekwondo team and started to meet people, bear with me, in real life. Yeah. I started gaining some weight, a mediocre amount of discipline. I'm not going to big myself up too much. Finished my degree and went to study in Japan for a year. No, you became a weeb. Oh, it was all going so well. Afterwards, I finished my master's around the time Legion was coming out and decided that I would move to Japan for my first job. When you're in your 20s living in Tokyo, you don't really spend a lot of time thinking about video games. But after some time, I decided to take a job in the US, where I would no longer have to play on the Oceanic servers, and decided it was time. I'm coming back. Dragonflight was here. Mike, it clearly had been a long time. I had missed Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, Legion, BFA, and Shadowlands. So why the fuck was I still thinking about World of Goddamn Warcraft? Well, it's your fault, partly. During COVID, I stumbled upon the Race to World First, and by proxy, Growl's WoW content. I thought to myself, that looks really, really fun. How hard can it be to get back into this game? Chris, is there a war happening downstairs? Are they angry, or is it just jovial?
I'm not sure. I can hear it.
I don't think our audience can hear it, but there is a fucking thing happening beneath me. I could beat them. Oh, they're definitely fighting down there. Maybe on the shotgun. Hold on. No? A lot of noise happening around me. There's a lot of noise. Anyway. I made a new character on a US server and found my way into a relaxed ahead of the curve. What?
Does it stop for you?
No?
No, it's not.
Yeah. They can't hear it. I was trying to pick it up on the shotgun.
Yeah.
It's really loud.
Yeah, it is. It's really
Well, maybe
loud.
it's loud for us because it's vibrating through the floor.
Well, it's in my office too. Like I was looking out the
Yeah,
window,
they definitely sound really angry at each other. We'll go down after this.
Yeah.
Go in and just clean house. Fucking Randy Orton through the building. I made a new character, Johnny Gill. After trying out Elemental Shaman unsuccessfully and taking another break till Season 2, Fury Warrior was my groove. This was a class that didn't require too many keybinds, as it now dawned on me I had no keybinds, and whose rotation did not require a whiteboard to memorize. My guild was prepared to clear a Mirdrasil on normal, and our raid leader, a warrior main, encouraged me to learn my spec by pugging to level 15 keystones. Well, I did as he asked and more. I fell in love with Mythic Plus. I introduced myself to the low keys, saying that I was new to this game mode, and people were mostly nice. Never mind that I was playing an off-meta spec with almost no utility. I pugged my way to 2800 rating in the first season of M+. A Dragonflight Season 3 historically, was it easy? Yes. Is 2800 not that high? No, it's not. But I felt like I was getting better. And near the end of the season, my guild had gotten curve as usual, and I performed in the upper half of the raid. My raid leader suggested that a player... Oh, God. This This is so insulting. My raid leader suggested that a player like me might be better playing Demon Hunter. That's pretty insulting. He thinks that the way I play, that I might enjoy it. That's insulting a little bit, isn't it? He was right about Mythic Plus, so I made myself a Night Elf Demon Hunter. It wasn't even a meta play. My warrior was Blood Elf, and I just wanted a different female character. And I started leveling as Vengeance. I don't have to emphasize this, but Vengeance Demon Hunter in DF Season 4 was broken as fuck. I pugged my way up the ranks. How are you tanking and pugging? What is this guild? After the key squish, achieving 3k. Going into a War Within, I was all hype. Then a War Within came. I re-rolled to Arcane Mage to play a new spec and roll, and again performed well enough to be near the top of my raid. However, I started to notice something new. Something I hadn't seen before. There was a skill disparity in my guild. I would often prefer pugging keys to running with my guildies, as especially during the season timing. Timing Mythic Keys 10 plus was harder than it had been in the previous 2 seasons. I'd often get frustrated when my friends messed up. And I felt they were holding me back. It started to bother me a lot. They were stopping me playing at my full potential. I should probably change. Yeah, relapsing hardcore. I was now part of a community of other players that I'd met through a common friend and raided with them on an ult on the weekend, doing damage on my Demon Hunter that I'd just leveled. They played much faster than my guild. They cleared curve really quick. And after the raid, they would then break up and do high-level keys together. They were better than my team. And I wanted to transfer there. However, tragedy struck. My first raid night with them in Season 2, I had a very awkward conversation. Where is this going? My guild master pulled me aside and told me I made people in the raid uncomfortable. What did you do? You made people in the raid uncomfortable? What did you do? Mike, I'm now in my 30s. I am the kind of person that uses an anime girl as their profile picture in Discord. Which is not unusual these days, let's be clear. I do make jokes that are considered a little bit degenerate in the anime nerd kind of way. I don't like that. I don't like that. I wish you would have just told me what the joke was, because what I'm picturing and translating in my head is not good. It's not good. It's not good at all. The humor is not for everyone. And in my very first raid, I must have overdone it. This is after one raid. This is after one raid night. They were like, we don't want this guy around. Shit happens. It doesn't help that I slandered the raid design of Liberation. It was nothing to do with that. People got lost all the time. People were pulling dumb shit walking to the bosses. There was random cars driving over you. Drift, or whatever it's called, is a mess. And I hated Styx Bunk Junker. Ah, you mean butt fuck cum bucket. And all variations like that we desperately kept saying at the Race to World First so that Jordan would get it stuck in her head and say it by accident. Cock sticks cum dumpster. We were all calling it that if Jordan was around. We were calling it all sorts of shit like that constantly. We were like she kept getting it wrong in the room. She kept getting it wrong. She kept going, Sticks bug junker. And I'm going, no, Sticks cum dumpster. And she I can't wait to be rid of this raid. Okay. I was taken aback by this conversation. I wasn't aware that the things I was saying were so far out of line, but I made a decision. I looked in the mirror again. And one weekend, I hit up the recruitment forums and looked at a guild I thought I may join that was advertising for high-end plus progression and mythic raiding. I had some logs in the 80s, and I just wanted a community of players to do keys with. To my surprise, they whispered me the very next day and recruited me. My primary guild, with whom I was still raiding, had just cleared normal Liberation of Undermine, if memory serves. So wait, your main guild is doing normal Liberation of Undermine. Your alt guild is raiding Mythic Liberation of Undermine, is what you're doing? That's your situation right now? I explained what I was doing to them, and they took the news in stride. I was just another DPS in the roster, and they didn't really care. Stellar people, I still am welcome on their Discord and all. I finally joined a big boy guild. Now, mind you, I had never Mythic raided. I told them that. I really was interested in Mythic Plus. On my very first day, they told me to respec to Havoc and come and do some dungeons. I did and was pumping enough to get noticed. In the next week, they brought me in on Mythic Sprocketmonger progression. And a week later, I had killed my first Mythic Raid boss. Mythic Sprocketmonger was your first Mythic Raid boss? That's crazy. We proceeded to kill One-Armed Bandit and Mugsy and are currently staring down the barrel of good old Gallywix. Although I'm on the bench for comp reasons, we swatched to I have resilient 15 keystones for the season. I'm utilizing control and shift modifiers like a big boy. And most of the left side of my keyboard is actually using spells. How far one can change in just 18 years of intermittently playing the game. But now I'm moving back to Germany, right when the patch hits. So I'll lose out on valuable early M+ grinding in the season. Which means pugging my way up is going to be a shit show. I'm going to join a new guild once I'm settled into my new life and my new job. Unfortunately, I've now pug-tanked enough to where I can tell entitled DPS players who can't find their interrupt key. What is going on?
I have no idea. I went down, I was standing in the lobby, and it's actually louder here than it is out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because obviously it's coming through the floor, but there's something going on, dude.
You heard it? Yeah, they're screaming at each other down there.
Yeah, it is loud.
Oh, Emma's going to be here in a minute. She's going to dig in, I'm sure. All I wanted to say to you all is that being a brat and being kicked twice has actually helped me in real life. I'm a better person for it and a better player as well. And it's all thanks to you guys and that lovely chat that I love seeing every day. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you again next time. Well, thank you very much, my sir. And yes, kind of reminiscent of my own story, that moment, of being that jerky boy who was doing all those things. But considering there's a war happening here at PG Towers, at least in the basement of PG Towers, I'm going to love you and leave you and try and find out what the fuck is going on, because it sounds like a fist fight is breaking out. Yeah. We might be doing something over the weekend. WeCore is quitting retail. Yeah. I think let's just check Twitter before I go. I suspected it when they said they were making... It does make sense. Yeah. The time has come. There is going to be no WeCore's add-on for World of Warcraft retail.
Which is unfortunate, because there is definitely uses for WeCores outside of combat. If they're just depreciating it entirely, that's kind of a shame, but I guess I get it.
I get it. Like, most of the functionality is not the cosmetics. It's everything else that goes into it. Let's have a look here. Blizzard has recently published the technical details of the API restrictions, granting us access to the alpha to test them out and elaborated on their design philosophy. This has allowed us to evaluate the impact of these changes on WeCores. The changes are unfortunately much more extensive than expected. Yep. It's important to note that these changes are not final and will evolve. It seems highly unlikely that the core restrictions will be meaningfully reversed. As it stands, we do not expect to release WeCores for midnight. Now, that means they might change their minds.
Yeah.
We will continue to support WeCores for Classic. The restrictions are so severe that the core functionality, such as conditions or actions, are having multiple triggers in one aura or cloning a trigger, are now impossible. Producing a stripped-down version of WeCores without these features would require months. That's what I said to you, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to you. It's not a case of the skin stuff is separate. The core of the whole thing is built on it.
Yeah.
The result would be barely recognizable version, given that we've made the difficult decision not to create weak auras for Midnight. End of an era. Yeah, genuine salute. I've met the weak auras team. They're good people. Worked with them. We've done content with them. They've worked with us. They've been messaging us during this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what an absolute pinnacle piece of tech that's been around in WoW and defining for years. That did get used for some crazy things, but also vast majority of it was great stuff. I do not celebrate the loss of weak auras and the work they've done. The goated add-on, yeah. There'll never be an add-on like it unless Blizzard full reverses in 10 years' time or something. No. There'll never be an add-on like this again for your video game. And that also probably means that if you're even using weak auras for cosmetic reasons on your retail account, that is not going to work in Midnight. No. So, yeah. Well, we'll send a message later. Anyway, I've got to go. Right, I'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.